Sonic Unleashed. It's one of my favorite Sonic games of all time, but it's also one of my least favorite Sonic games of all time. Okay, well, kinda. You see, Sonic Unleashed had two different versions, both of which have numerous differences from one another. There's the HD version, which most of us are familiar with. It was released on PS3, Xbox 360, and eventually ported to PC by fans. For most people, this is what comes to mind when you think of Sonic Unleashed. But there's also the demake Sonic Unleashed, or Sonic Unleashed as people like to call it. This version of Unleashed was released on Wii and PS2, and was a significantly downgraded version of the HD game, so it could run on those older platforms. But a lot more was done to this game. It wasn't just a simple dip in resolution and lower frame rate. In fact, Unleashed feels like a completely different game compared to the Unleashed we all know and love, and it kinda sucks. Let's start with normal Sonic's gameplay, or daytime Sonic, I guess. This was and still is the highlight of the HD Unleashed if you ask me, and hopefully everyone else. Like, who the f prefers the Werehog? In Unleashed HD, the daytime stages were filled to the brim with dense platforming, engaging set pieces, cleverly placed obstacles, and a wonderful sense of speed due to the game's boost mechanic. All of this combined together made Unleashed HD one of the best Sonic games when it came to its core gameplay. So, how does Unleashed stack up in comparison? Well, as for the controls, it's very similar. You can still jump, homing attack, boost, drift, all of that. Given that this game was on the Wii, a handful of these abilities were mapped to motion controls, which sucked, yes, but there was normal controller support in this game, which does make it a whole lot better if you ask me. I'm just saying though, when I was a kid, I could not figure out that the homing attack was performed by shaking the Wiimote. So I vividly remember getting stuck on the tutorial level and never picking this game up ever again. Good times. Sonic's physics feel a little different too, and honestly, he is much more stiff to control, which is honestly surprising because he was already stiff as hell to control in HD. But here, it's even worse. And I feel like part of the reason why is due to the boost mechanic in the Wii version. In HD, it was great. No complaints from me whatsoever. You filled up the boost gauge by collecting rings, and when you held down the square button, you just took off. And you kept taking off until your gauge was depleted. It was simple to understand, easy to use, and fun. And I'm glad it remained intact in the Wii... what's this? Okay, so in the Wii version, your boost gauge is partitioned into segments. You still fill it up the same way, but now when you boost, you just get a short burst of speed. You can't just hold it down. Now, I can acknowledge the fact that this does introduce more opportunities for strategy, as you can time your boosts at just the right moments to optimize your time, and that's great. But my problem with this boost is that you almost completely lose control of Sonic when you activate it. You pretty much just go straight, and that gets really annoying, especially in the later stages that have more strict platforming. And because of that, there were rarely any moments where I wanted to use the boost, because I was afraid I was just going to fly off a ledge. I understand that this whole partitioned boost thing was likely done because of the limited buttons on the Wiimote, but that doesn't get rid of the fact that it's just not fun to use. But that's nothing compared to the Werehog gameplay. Yes, while it wasn't that great in the HD version if you ask me, I have grown to like it over the years. It's kind of fun chaining combos together when you have them unlocked. It's no daytime Sonic obviously, but it was decent. I really wish I could say the same about the Werehog in the Wii version. Oh my god. Dude, this is actually horrendous. The Werehog's base movements are clunky as hell. Running requires you to shift the stick forward twice, which is super awkward when you need to sprint on the fly. The grab mechanic pretty much just works when it wants to, but thankfully if you just hold down the grab button, you'll just automatically latch onto anything that's grabbable. So that is a big help. But the combat is where I have the most issues. It's so awkward in this game. When using a Wiimote plus nunchuck combo, shaking the Wiimote swipes with one arm, and shaking the nunchuck swipes with the other. You then have to shake each controller in certain patterns to pull off combos. And yes, it's about as bad as it sounds. Thankfully, with a GameCube controller or classic controller, the attacks are mapped to the left and right triggers. It's still not great, and yes, it's still really awkward, especially if you're already used to the HD version's controls, but it's better than violently shaking a Wiimote. The combat is still really clunky though. This might be a skill issue thing, but I never really figured out how to pull off combos effectively. This is partially due to the fact that the Werehog swipes are way faster in this version than they are in the HD version, so there's little to no buffer between combos, which may be good for some people, but I don't really like it. At least the level design in this game is somewhat redeeming. Well, kinda. No, not really, actually. The daytime stuff is decent, albeit a little too open for my liking. The levels in the HD version felt much more dense, with multiple pathways and obstacles everywhere you look. The Wii version still has multiple pathways, but I feel like a lot of the level design was left this open so they could compensate for the boost, which, as I mentioned before, caused your movement to become locked. I gotta say though, the set pieces and locations in this game are super neat. This goes for the night stages as well. The Wii version explores locations that were never explored in the HD version. Like, there's an underground ice temple in Alaska, there's cherry blossoms in Shunan, and there's even a night stage that has you running on the Great Wall of China. It's awesome. The night stage level design is just whatever though. I think the design of the levels themselves is about on par with the HD version. They provide a pretty balanced combo of platforming, exploration, and combat. I especially liked the platforming challenges like the waterfall in Shunan or the beams in Eggman Land. It's really just a problem with the level length. This game has a weird mission structure to it. When you play a day or night stage, you actually play multiple missions in succession. For the day stuff, it's usually just one normal boost stage followed by a couple of missions, like time attack or ring collecting. But the nighttime bits sometimes have you playing as many as 5 night stages in a row, and that wouldn't really be a problem if each act weren't the same length as a night stage from the HD version. I was in Eggman Land Night for about an hour because there are 5 whole night acts that are each around 10 minutes apiece. That's absurd. Thankfully, they're still treated as individual acts, so you don't have to play all 5 of them in a row if you don't want to. You could take a break, go dick around somewhere else, and come back. So that's nice, I guess. Progression is also treated completely different in this version. The leveling system just isn't here anymore for the most part. Instead, with daytime Sonic, you upgrade your boost gauge by just playing the game. Simple as that. The same could be said about the Werehog, because unlocking new combos is as simple as just playing the game like normal. Nothing else is required. Medal collecting is also completely optional in this game, and they're not treated as normal collectibles. Instead, you gain a certain number of sun or moon medals depending on the rank you get in a level. I do appreciate how this gives more value to the ranking system in this game, which is what I would say if the sun and moon medals in this game weren't completely useless for the most part, but we'll get into that soon. The game's streamlined nature could also be seen in the hub worlds, if you even want to call them hub worlds. The game has the same areas and environments as the HD version, with the absence of Empire City, oddly enough, likely because it didn't have any story significance in the plot, but they also completely stripped Missouri of any levels. It only has a boss fight for you to get to the temple. That's odd. Anyway, the hub worlds themselves are just menus. That's it. You click on each area to talk to a person, and you keep talking to people until you get the shrine tablets needed for progression. Sometimes you have to talk to Professor Pickle, but that's literally it. These hub worlds are pure filler, and they don't serve much of a purpose at all. I understand why the hubs are like this. Remember, a lot of limitations were probably put in place because they had to get this game running on the PS2. But at that point, why even have a hub world at all? Especially when you have the shrines. So in this game, each area has a shrine that acts as an entrance for the levels. And this is super cool to me. I've always wanted to explore the Gaia temples in Sonic Unleashed, and the HD version didn't allow us to do that. And while yes, these shrines aren't the Gaia temples, it's close enough. They have the same music, similar architecture, all of that. And each shrine feels visually distinct from one another. You can also open these metal doors to unlock short little challenges, which are how you get extra lives in this game. I personally never really found the need to get extra lives in this game, but at least there's some extra stuff to do here. But other than that, everything else is left the same. The cutscenes are the same, albeit compressed to hell and back, but they are pre-rendered this time so they don't lag. The bosses are pretty much the same, with some minor attack differences here and there. The soundtrack is completely unchanged, the voice acting is the same, and even some of the animations are similar. Really, the only things that are different in this game are purely gameplay related, and that makes perfect sense. The entire point of this version of the game was to allow more people who may still be on last generation hardware to experience Unleashed in some capacity. And today, it's really nothing more than a different way to experience the game. Some people may find this game to be better than the HD version, and I could see why. It's more streamlined, doesn't have that much BS padding the game out, no medal collecting, all of that. But at the end of the day, I didn't have much fun playing the Wii version of this game, and that's why I still highly prefer the HD version. I'm going to give the Wii version a solid 6 out of 10. It's just kind of there, and that's as much as I can give it. But that's all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.